Tradish.
Especially a mullet with cauliflower ear. I'm not fucking with that guy.
That's 2 strikes, man. 2 strikes on that one. I'm never messing with a guy that has a mullet and a cauliflower ear.
For sure. Oh, and they're getting right into it.
Yes.
Now, this height difference isn't as bad as some of the other ones, but it's definitely being lanky will help you out with grappling, or it can be a detriment because your limbs are just always exposed to compared to a short competitor. Exactly like what I'm talking about right there.
Big shot.
It's hard to get down, too, when you're tall and you're going up against a small person who's shooting in on you. Oh, he's sitting down.
And you can see Alvarez is trying to get in on the leg. It looks like he might be fishing for an inversion.
It's hard, too, because his hands are starting to get extended because he didn't quite get close enough to it.
Welcome back, Kendall Rusing, to the broadcast booth.
Man.
You just go for a little bit, and
I couldn't stay long. I couldn't stay away long because there was too much action. I had to get back in the booth. I did get out of the sun for a minute, though. But, man, we see a pretty early Darce here. This is looking pretty tight. This guy's arms are so long. He's able to lock up these Darces from very strange positions. Wow, nice scramble out, though.
Drew Dyer with rocking the T-shirt, Kendall, which I like. It's like a throwback to the old school no-gi guys.
That wasn't, look, that was my era, okay? But we do see, look at this locked up Kimura on bottom. The arm is totally straight, so Chandler looks like he's pretty safe still, but you can't, like, let the slack go when you're in that kind of position with your arm straight with the Kimura because Guzman is doing everything he can to keep that arm in a 90-degree angle and bend the wrist behind the back, and that's what we're seeing. And it might not get the submission finish always, but it is able to help him sweep to the top position.
Those Kimuras from bottom are risky sometimes. Unless you have everything locked in tight and you do them quick, you're not really going to pull them out like that.
It looked like Alvarez may have been anticipating the break, and he let off that Kimura.
I mean, sometimes that's just how it is. You have to understand where they're going to break you. Sometimes you might just have to force the stall to get reset. Keeping that lockdown going.
Wow, look at this pressure from Dyer. He just kind of kicks his leg free. That position. Oh, we might see another buggy choke here from Alvarez.
Alvarez seemed a little casual on the defense there, almost like he was inviting this, but
it's one thing about the submission-only events, right? Sometimes you do see people give up positions like side control, or they let themselves get swept or things of that nature just to put themselves in positions where they can get something kind of crazy. Dyer does a good job of switching between, you know, that kind of like mount attack versus the knee cut, so he's able to switch between them really well, and we see that again as he knee cuts, and then as soon as he feels the turtle, he kind of steps over. It's interesting, though, because that kind of attack can lead him either to the mount, or he can be looking at back attacks if the person continues to turtle.
Looks like he's got Alvarez's arm potentially stuffed. We might see a mounted triangle.
But then he covered it with his leg, too, so he held on to it until he got his leg in position to hold that arm.
You called it. You called it, Tim, mounted triangle, although potentially could be a mistake to try to lean back for the triangle before you lock it up on top. But he actually was looking at maybe a rear triangle from mount, which is not super common. Right.
And now he's got some kind of,
well, he's
not
looking
parada plata, but it's some kind of variation on a shoulder lock.
Yeah, I think he's definitely looking to pry the arm out, though, right? And so Alvarez, like, keeping his arm in there, even though there are other dangers that come with it, he's keeping himself safe from the triangle finish by doing that because it prevents the space being closed. It's just like enough space to keep breathing and to keep the carotid artery from being compressed, but it does open up his shoulder like you were mentioning.
Alvarez is really hanging on to his other hand, not wanting to let that go, but it's slowly coming through that hole, and if that thing pops, that arm bar is going to come on
so quick. See how
quick.
He threaded his left-hand grip in with his right hand, but now Dyer's got a pretty strong underhook. He abandoned it.
With that free arm that he has there, he can start working with the fingers, moving the hand, trying to, And sometimes things happen and plans change.
Kendall, where do you focus when you're Dyer and you're trying to break that grip? Are you focusing on the wrist, or are you trying to like glue that tricep to your arm and disconnect with your chest?
So what Dyer just did was he switching the triangle over to the traditional triangle. He was on like the backwards triangle before, right? And I think that, or the rear triangle. And I was going to say that was a very smart decision because it puts the focus back on the choke rather than needing to pry the arms open, because that can be a very difficult thing to do. So I think that was a really smart decision by Dyer. Clearly, you know, got him the submission victory.
We've had a couple of decisions that were already exciting fights. We had one of the decisions.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give these two warriors one more round of applause. This bout comes to an end at 4 minutes and 35 seconds. He is your winner by a tap-out victory due to a triangle, Drew Dyer.
Did anybody see what type of submission he got him with?
And let's hear
Finished
it one
him
more
with a
time
triangle.
for Salvador
Triangle? Okay.
Alvarez.
Yeah, he had the rear triangle, and he was looking to unlock the arm and maybe attack the shoulder, the wrist, or the arm. But then he switched his lock to a traditional triangle and then kind of came out on bottom and then finished the choke.